The night I went on a blind date I never wanted, my life split into a before and after. I was sitting alone at a table meant for two in the quiet corner of La Mirabelle, an upscale restaurant inside my hotel. Candles flickered softly. Crystal glasses caught the light. Everything was perfect, except the empty chair across from me. I checked my watch again, more out of habit than hope. I hate wasting time. I especially hate awkward situations. And yet here I was, waiting. My younger sister had pushed me into this. She said I ran my hotel empire like a machine and lived my life the same way. She told me I needed someone who was not impressed by money or titles. I agreed to this date just to prove her wrong. One dinner, that was it. My phone buzzed. I already knew what it would say before I opened it. Sorry, something came up. I won't make it tonight. I let out a slow breath and reached for my jacket. Then I heard a voice. Excuse me, are you Mr. Hale? I looked up, expecting a late arrival or an apology. Instead, I saw a young woman standing there, holding a thin folder to her chest like a shield. Her blonde hair was tied in a loose braid. Her clothes were simple, clean but worn. No designer bag, no polished confidence. Before I could answer, the hostess appeared beside her. Right this way, miss, she said, pulling out the chair across from me. The girl sat down before I could stop it. She looked around, eyes wide, taking in the candles, the wine chilling in silver, the single red rose between us. Wow, she whispered. This company really knows how to treat its applicants. Applicants. She opened her folder and smiled at me, nervous but hopeful. I'm here for the receptionist interview for the new boutique branch. The email said to meet Mr. Hale here. My heart skipped, not fast, but hard. She finally noticed the setup, the rose, the wine, my suit. Her smile faded. Oh, she said softly. I'm so sorry. I think I made a mistake. She started to stand, panic in her eyes. No, I said, lifting my hand without thinking. Please, sit. She froze, confused. I don't make impulsive decisions. Ever. But something about her honesty, the way she looked like she was ready to run, made me curious. You can continue, I said. I'm listening. She sat back down slowly. Okay, she said, exhaling. My name is Chloe Bennett. As she spoke about her life, her family, the jobs she worked to survive, I realized something unsettling. For the first time in years, someone was talking to me without knowing who I really was. And I didn't want to stop her. Chloe talked fast at first, like she was afraid I might change my mind. She told me she was from a small town called Willow Creek, about 3 hours south of the city. She studied hospitality for 2 years before life pulled her out of school. Her father passed away. Her mother got sick. Her younger brother needed help. So she worked. Any job. Any shift. I didn't interrupt her. I just watched the way she held her folder, the way her voice softened when she talked about hotels. Not money, not luxury. Feelings. She said hotels were places where people arrived tired or scared and left feeling a little safer. Her words hit something deep in my chest, something I hadn't touched in years. Finally, I asked her, Do you know who I am, Miss Bennett? She laughed lightly. Mr. Hale, my potential boss. Then she added, honest and unsure, I didn't Google you. Should I have? For the first time that night, I smiled. The waiter came back, hesitating when he saw the situation had changed. I told him we would dine. Chloe tried to protest, saying she didn't want to intrude, but I insisted. I ordered grilled salmon for her and steak for myself. Simple food. Comfort food. She tugged at her sleeve and whispered that she felt underdressed. You're present, I said. That's enough. As we ate, she shared more. Late night shifts. Fixing card readers. Cleaning rooms when staff didn't show up. She spoke with pride, not bitterness. When a plate nearly slipped from the waiter's tray, she caught it without thinking and smiled at him, telling him it was okay. I noticed everything. When dessert came, she declined, saying the meal was already more than she expected. That was when I placed my business card on the table. Come by my office tomorrow, I said. I have a real offer. She read the card. Her eyes widened when she saw my title. You're that Mr. Hale? Yes. She didn't hesitate. She smiled. Then yes, she said, I'm still interested. And in that moment, I knew this dinner was never a mistake. The next morning, Chloe stood outside the glass tower of Hale Hospitality, clutching her folder like it might disappear if she let go. I saw her through the window before she ever reached the desk. She looked small against the building, but steady. I greeted her myself and took her straight to the top floor. No waiting, no interviews in stiff rooms. Instead of questions, I handed her a thin file. "We're renovating one of our oldest hotels," I said. "I want your input." Her eyes widened. "Mine?" "You understand what a hotel should feel like," I replied. 2 days later, we drove out of the city together. The skyline faded, replaced by cracked sidewalks and quiet streets. The Elmwood Inn stood at the end of the road, tired and forgotten, its neon sign crooked but still glowing faintly. Inside, dust hung in the air, old chandeliers, peeling wallpaper. But Chloe walked slowly, eyes bright like she could already see what it could become. "I can picture it," she whispered. She didn't see the puddle on the floor. Her heel slid, and before she could fall, I caught her. She collided with my chest, her hands pressed against me. For a heartbeat, neither of us moved. The world felt very small. She stepped back quickly, embarrassed. I cleared my throat, my voice rougher than usual. "Stay close," I said. Later, she stopped in front of an old photograph on the wall. A thin boy standing barefoot in a kitchen. "Who's that?" she asked. "Someone who used to stay here," I said quietly. She studied my face. "You sound like you knew him." "I knew the feeling," I replied. That afternoon, she found me fixing a broken door lock for an elderly woman staying nearby. She looked surprised to see me with tools in my hands. The woman smiled at Chloe and told her stories about a boy who once slept on the lobby couch. Chloe understood without asking. That night, rain poured down. Chloe worked late and forgot her jacket. I left my coat on the counter with a note telling her not to freeze. The next morning, she wore it. She didn't say thank you. She didn't need to. Something quiet and dangerous was growing between us, and we both felt it. The days at the Elmwood Inn began to change, slowly at first. Dust cleared, walls brightened, old lights were replaced with warm ones. And somewhere between paint samples and floor plans, Chloe and I fell into an easy rhythm. We didn't talk about anything personal, not directly, but we shared quiet moments, lingering looks, conversations that stopped just before they crossed a line. Then one morning, everything shifted. Chloe walked into the temporary office and the room went silent. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. I saw it before she did. The tension, the sideways glances. She found the reason on her phone.
Photos.
One from our first dinner. She was laughing, leaning forward. I was looking at her like nothing else mattered. Another from the renovation site, me handing her a clipboard. The headline burned into my eyes. From waitress to CEO's favorite. Staff questions sudden rise of new girl. The comments were cruel. Accusations, assumptions, lies. Her phone buzzed again. A message from her mother. People were calling the house, asking questions. Her younger sibling was upset. That afternoon, she stood outside my office, pale but composed. "I need to leave the project," she said.
What? I asked, and why?
"You know why?" she replied softly. "This isn't just about me anymore." I told her I never approved any of it. She nodded. "I know, but I should have known better." She looked at me then, eyes steady but hurting. "I sat at the wrong table," she said, "but I don't think I sat with the wrong person." Then she walked away. By the time I followed her, she was gone. That night, I drove everywhere I could think of. The cafe, the boarding house where she stayed. Her room was empty. The landlord said she left in a hurry. I didn't even know where her hometown was. At my desk, I wrote her a letter, short, honest. I said she was never a mistake, that she didn't climb. She walked, and I followed. I left the letter at the Elmwood Inn, and hoped. A week later, Chloe was back home. Her hometown felt wider than the city, but quieter too. Fields stretched behind the small house where she grew up. The mornings smelled like soil and warm bread. She helped her mother in the garden, cooked meals, fixed small things around the house. No one here asked about headlines or rumors. But the silence was loud. She ignored her phone when it buzzed. She didn't open messages. She told herself she needed time, space, distance from everything that hurt. Then one afternoon, a low engine sound rolled across the dirt road. She stepped onto the porch just as a pickup truck pulled into the yard. Dust rose into the air. The driver's door opened. It was me. I was wearing jeans and a simple shirt, sleeves rolled up. I didn't say a word. I grabbed a toolbox from the back and walked straight past her to the porch steps. The wood was loose, the railing crooked. I set to work. She stood there, stunned. Minutes passed, then hours. I didn't explain. I didn't ask for permission. I fixed boards, hammered nails, measured twice before cutting once. Her mother watched from the window. "He's been working a long time," she said quietly. When the sun dipped low, I finally stopped. Chloe met me at the steps. "You didn't have to do this," she said. "I wanted to," I replied. We sat on the porch with 2 cups of tea her mother brought out before leaving us alone. The air was still. Honest. "I'm not here for the company," I said. "Not for the story. I'm not asking you to come back to the city." She looked up at me. "I'm asking you to come back to me," I said. "Not to a role, to a life." Her eyes filled. She laughed softly. "You came with wooden nails." "I build things," I said. She looked at me for a long moment, really looked. And for the first time since she left, her heart stopped running. A few days later, Chloe came back to the city with me. She didn't tell anyone. She didn't announce it. She just arrived quietly, the way she always did. When she stood in front of the Elmwood Inn again, she barely recognized it. The doors were new, flowers lined the walkway, warm light spilled through the windows. But what stopped her was the wooden plaque near the entrance. "Home for Hope, free lodging for those in need." Her hand flew to her mouth. I stepped up beside her. "I remembered what you said," I told her, "about hotels being places where people feel like they matter." Tears filled her eyes as she ran her fingers over the words. Inside, the staff gathered. I stood beside her, not in front. I told them the truth, about my past, about sleeping in that lobby when I was young, about why this place mattered. I told them I didn't choose Chloe because of her position. I chose her because she reminded me who I was before the world hardened me. The room was quiet when I finished. Then someone clapped, then another. Chloe stood frozen, overwhelmed. Later, as the day slowed, she looked at me and said, "I didn't come back for a job." "I know," I said. She smiled. "I came back because you didn't let me disappear." I took her hand. I didn't pull her. I didn't rush her. And she stayed. A year later, the cafe inside the Elmwood Inn felt alive in a way it never had before. Morning light spilled through the wide windows. The smell of fresh coffee and warm bread filled the air. Laughter bounced gently off the wooden floors. Chloe moved between the tables with easy confidence, her apron lightly dusted with flour, her hair pulled into a loose braid. She knew every face, every story. This place had become her rhythm. I sat at a small table by the window watching her without interrupting the moment. She hadn't noticed me yet. A child ran past her, nearly slipping. She steadied him with a laugh and a gentle hand. An older couple thanked her for remembering their usual order. My chest tightened, not with fear, but with certainty. Then she looked up. Our eyes met. For a second, the cafe faded away. "Logan," she said softly, almost like she was afraid I might disappear. I stood and walked toward her. "I heard the cinnamon rolls here are famous." She laughed, surprised and warm. "They might be." I reached into my jacket pocket and dropped to one knee. The room went still. A sharp breath. A spoon clattered to the floor. I opened the small velvet box. Inside was a simple ring, elegant and honest. "You once sat at the wrong table," I said. "You thought you made a mistake." Her eyes filled with tears. "But you were the one who changed everything," I continued. "You didn't climb. You didn't take shortcuts. You walked forward with your heart open, and I followed." I looked up at her. "You were never an accident. You were my choice. You still are." She covered her mouth, nodding through tears. "Yes," she whispered. Applause filled the cafe. Someone laughed, someone cried. Later, we stood beneath a wooden sign near the counter. It read, "Right heart, wrong seat, right forever." She slipped her hand into mine, and this time there was no doubt.